Dennis. I'm going to be doing an electric over hydraulic disc brake install on a 2019 Grand Design Reflection 337 RLS. Has tandem axles and they are 6K. So if you'll join me, I'm going to go through the opening of the wheel kits, cleaning them, prepping them, and getting them ready for install. Along with the calipers, I'll show you all the parts. So hang tight and follow along. So as you can tell in the previous picture, that's how they'll come when you order from Performance Trailer Braking. Very well packaged, everything is secure. This is what you'll get in the kit. You'll get the hub and rotor assembly with new lug nuts. Although a lot of times people reuse their lug nuts because they've got better looking lug nuts than those. You'll get the bearings. In this particular kit, the part number for the outer bearing is 15123. The inner bearing is a 25580, which actually is the same bearing that they use across all the lines, all the way up to the 8K kit. They use the same inner seal. These are the Dexter seals. These are the Dexter bearings. This is your dust cap. You'll get the caliper bracket with the mounting bolts, and you'll get the caliper. This one is a 225. Comes with the bolts with the blue Loctite already on them. Okay, be sure and use a good parts cleaner that evaporates. I not only spray them out, but I blow them off with a little compressed air. Okay. Now we're going to turn to the rotor, and let's get either some clean paper towel or a rag or something that's clean. We want to inspect inside and look at the race to be sure it's good, as we inspected the bearings. We're also looking to make sure that the races are seated properly. There's a lip inside that they press up against. Start in the back. Be sure to wipe it out. Flip the rag over and the rotor around. And wipe it out and be sure that all the races are nice and clean. I just wanted to get you up close there so you can see that race. And look down inside there, give an idea what you're looking at. Also, you want to check to make sure these are all bottomed out. Occasionally they're not all the way in, which when you go to put the wheels back on and torque the lug nuts, they will draw them in. Okay, the way I was taught to do bearings when I was a kid by my dad is you would put grease in the palm of your hand and you would just keep taking little bites, pressing it into the cavity until it worked its way all the way through, and then you would turn the bearing and continue like that. Just keep taking little bites, pressing it in until you work all the way around the bearing. I don't have time for that. So what I do is this right here. This is a bearing packer. They have these at the parts store, albeit they're smaller and you use a grease gun, but 2 pumps. And you can see that the grease is now pressed all the way through all those. So this excess grease, I don't just put it back, I put it into the cavity. So we're going to smear that around and just kind of put these dollops down inside this cavity on the race and just past it. And then we're going to drop that in the back That is the back bearing. We're going to put a little bit of grease on this seal surface from our hands, and we'll set that in place. And as soon as we get this other one packed, we'll clean our hands and we'll drive that in. It only takes one pump on the smaller bearings. And again, that filled that cavity all the way through. Now we're going to take that extra grease and we're going to place it right inside the center. And we're going to use that when we install this hub and rotor assembly onto the clean spindle after we get everything apart, get the caliper bracket on. Then we're going to put this on and we'll install this. Okay, I'm back. I got my hands cleaned up a bit. So I always lay a piece of paper towel over the seal. Get yourself a flat object like this, anything, a piece of wood, doesn't matter. Put it on there. Hold it so it's flush, and then gently drive the seal in. That's all it takes. And you can see what we're looking for is a flush fit. We don't want to bend that seal. If you bend that, putting it in, then that distorts the seal surface, the lip where it rides on the spindle. So now this is ready to be installed onto a clean spindle. I just wanted to show you how much grease is in there. And I just kind of put it a 1/4 inch thick over the race. And this is what it looks like after you drop the bearing in. That's on the back. Okay. Then again, we put a little bit of grease on the rubber seal and install our seals. I'm going to show you what I do to prep the caliper before installing it. So as you can see, this little clip is not bent properly. So we just want to bend that up a little bit, bring it up just a little bit higher, so that when we install it here, tabs down, and then we can put it in and it usually will stay then. So we got to bend that just a little bit more. That helps hold that in during installation. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Remove the bolts. Again, I said earlier, these have blue Loctite on them from the factory. So we're going to use those. And I like to remove these bushings, these guide sleeves. As you can see, those are not coming out very easily. They are lubricated at the factory, but as you can tell, not very well. So this is what I like to use. It's the Permatex ceramic brake grease. I've been using this for a long time. So we don't need a whole lot. We're going to run that in to each one of these. We just need a light coat in there. And we're going to take that and install these back in. Wipe off the excess that comes out. That's why you don't need a lot, because you'll just shove it back out the other side. So now you can see those move much easier than they did. And the reason we want those to move is when this caliper is installed, and this, hold on, and construction equipment going by, and this caliper is mounted, when the fluid pressure pushes the piston out, we need this caliper to be able to draw in. And that, where it draws in, is on these sleeves. Allows that to move side to side. So then when you let off the brakes and the pressure goes away, as that rotor's passing through here, there's a thing called run out, and there's always just a little bit of movement in that rotor, and that creates an air gap in here. So that's why you never have to adjust disc brakes. They're always right there. But that air gap, as that rotor's passing through here, this will relax if these are lubed properly and allow this outer pad to go away from the rotor so that you don't wear it down. If you take your brakes apart and you find that this pad is worn down excessive compared to the inner pad, then this may very well be your problem right here. So you're going to want to take the caliper off, take these guide sleeves out, clean them, lubricate them, and then put blue Loctite back on your bolt, put new pads on, and then reinstall it. So now one more thing I do when prepping these, so that when I'm under the trailer and I'm installing them and I'm running my brake line and I'm to the point where I'm bleeding my brakes, I don't have any leaks, I want to check this fitting. Most of the time they are tight, and this one is tight. So remember, as you're looking down on it, righty-tighty or clockwise is tight, counterclockwise is loosen or left. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So again, just make sure that that's tight. The other thing I want to point out on these is these brass bleeders. The reason there's two is depending on how the caliper is mounted. So you can be left, right, forward, backward, it doesn't matter. You're always going to bleed from the bleeder that's facing up. 5/16 is what this is. Make sure you use a good 5/16. I prefer using a good 6-corner wrench, although these do not take very much force to loosen and or tighten. Again, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. When you are bleeding these and you close them off, just snug it down, just barely. That's all it needs. It doesn't need a lot. Okay, we're gonna prep the pump, get it ready. That's the part number. It's a brake right electric over hydraulic brake disc brake pump. 1600 psi, 0.3 of a second. It's at 200 psi on its way to the 1600, which is tire shredding. Okay, so first thing I do when I get the pump out of the box is I check these bottom screws. These have a copper washer on them, and I just make sure that they are snug. We have seen these not being tight and they leak a little, which is a real royal pain. So that's done. It's a common reservoir, so there's 2 caps. These only need to be finger tight, just so you're aware of that. Don't need a pair of channel locks on them or anything. Just snug them down with your fingers. There's an O-ring on there. You do want to make sure that over time, like a regular brake caliper, that this is shoved back up in there. That's a rubber diaphragm to allow that fluid to be drawn down as the brake pads wear. There really isn't much to get ready for this. The serial number for the pump is over here on the side. If you order from us, if you're interested in a DIY kit, you can call me and we can get you the parts you need. This is the bracket that we use that mounts this pump anywhere conveniently, whether in the propane bay or in a front bay, which you'll see once we get to that step. So again, there's 5 wires, 1 ground, 2 power supply. The purple is for the breakaway circuit. That's unfused to the battery. The black is for the braking circuit that is fused to the battery. The brown is the trigger or signal wire for the breakaway circuit. That tells it to apply full voltage, which it pulls off of the purple wire and flat spots the tires if you ever come disconnected, but at least the trailer stops moving. And then the blue wire is the trigger wire or signal wire for the braking circuit. And that is a varied voltage from the brake controller that goes through the circuit board and varies the pump speed to produce the pressure you need for the braking force adequate to stop the trailer. You don't want the brakes pulling on the truck, but you don't want the trailer pushing on the truck either. So you're going to find a balance. Okay, one other thing that we're going to prep for and inspect, and that's our brake line kit. So you're going to have two 66-inch lines, a 30. I believe this is like 18 feet. Can't remember for sure. You're going to have a fuse kit that goes with the pump. You're also going to have two 17-inch lines. This is the short line for the pump where it gets mounted, and then we'll attach to the steel line to run back to the back, where we will tee off to each wheel position with these 18-inch flexible brake lines. That kit also has in here a short steel line, 4-inch. You've got 5 brake line clamps that get mounted, and then these clips go on to hold it in place. This will go down to the caliper. This will get the line coming from the front to it. We also have included in there 3 tees. So I do advise you to inspect these tees. Make sure that you can see a good flare in there, and then also that they have threads cut in them. And then if you look inside, probably can't see that. Maybe you can. Inside there is a bit of debris from the machining. So just make sure that you clear anything that may be in these out of them before you get underneath and start your install. They don't always have something in them, but it's a good practice to get into. And these all look good.